Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH_sports. Follow me on my finance channel at AIH Finance. Okay, so I want to touch base on analytics and how it can be useful in the collectibles arena. I have done videos where I've stated that I'm not a big fan of analytics, but here's going to be some examples of why I do believe that it is important. But before I get into it, there is one dude that I definitely respect in terms of analytics, in terms of especially the TCG market that I'm not too aware of, and that is Pancake Analytics. I follow that dude, and he also sends me information about the hanky panky that goes on in that market. And the reason why I speak so highly of Pancake is because this was the time when I was going aggressively against what Curator was saying. Curator was saying, or he was hyping up, in my opinion, the Marvel PMGs. He was hyping up the Star Wars, and one dude in public who was defending me, he had talks even with Curator, from my understanding, was Pancake, right? Tom. So that's why I hold high regard to him. And some of the videos that I've done is work that has come from Pancake, right? So it is what it is. The last video was Lorcana, right? And that hanky panky, the overinflated sales, well, he detected that. He's a Disney collector. He collects for his kids. So I do hold him in high regard. And regarding the situation with the Backyard Bros, this is what he wrote in a comment the other day, and I think it's important. So he was talking about his live stream video, which was, I think, on Sunday, and he said that he talked about steps to improve on Guru's tweet, Collectibles Guru, and it turns out Triple Crown was able to do a similar approach for Leighton. Now, it's going to be nearly impossible to get the Backyard Bros data. I think once you have the Backyard Bros data and sample data, then it can be compared to Leighton's. I like to see the comparison of apples to apples of the two. My take is that the math isn't wrong, but we shouldn't be backtracking to get to probability. It causes too much confusion. Probabilities, its best use is a likelihood of an event which hasn't occurred yet. In my opinion, the Whatnot hit seems suspicious. A marketing campaign for the polling gets pulled and Whatnot just seems off. I agree with the assessment that it just seems totally off. And this is what I was talking about on the Sports Card Radio live stream. And that was pretty cool that they mashed it up together and they showed the Whatnot clip and then me saying, looks like there's some hanky panky. So that was pretty nice, by the way. So, in regards to analytics, what I stated before, and I'll get back to the Backyard Bros situation. I'm not a huge fan of analytics in this collectibles arena, and the reason why I am not, for the most part, is because we've had the crazy run up in prices during the pandemic. So using comps, for me, yeah, you could look at it, but it's not a good future indicator of prices. That's what was one of my thought processes. Because I was talking about in December of last year, before the Federal Reserve aggressively raised interest rates, I was saying that, hey, look, analytics, you could look at all the comps you want, but it doesn't factor in potential aggressive interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve. What happened this year? The Fed jacked up rates, and we saw even more aggressive move to the downside in the high end arena. Now, there may be some exceptions to the rule, such as that Mickey Mantle sale that I've talked about in the SGC. uh, label. There was also a sale of a Joe Jackson card that was all-time highs. So you have exceptions to the rule, okay? But the vast majority of collectibles have gone down. And looking at comps, looking at analytics did nothing about it. Now, some people may argue that, hey, looking at comps helps them out because they have over $100,000 worth in cards. Okay, different story there. And they have a huge portfolio. So I could understand the need for these comps for those guys. Now, in terms of sports in general, I'm not the biggest fan of analytics. I remember basketball in the 90s. Now, basketball has completely changed, and it's a sport that I watch, but not frequently. 90s basketball was fun. You didn't have too much analytics back then. Football, they did have analytics, I believe, with Tom Landry back in the day, but it's not as complex as it is compared to today. Today, analytics runs the whole show. I do believe that the Wonderlic score in determining the IQ of a quarterback is important. The height, certain metrics like that. So if you're looking at the metrics for baseball now, I do believe analytics works for something like the shift. The shift is where I'm a lefty, by the way. And if you place a infielder between second base, or if you place a multiple infielders between second base and first base, guess what? It's harder for the left-handed dude to hit the ball between them. Now, they're going to get rid of it. I'm not in agreement with it, but this is one thing that I agree with Joe Madden with. He actually implemented it, I think, against the Red Sox, 15, 16 years ago. I think against David Ortiz. And then everyone started using it. So metrics like that, I have nothing against, okay? Now, in regards to the analytics of this, not analytics, but if you're just looking at the number crunching for the Backyard Bros and the potential of them hitting this case about 4 or 5 times, or hitting the best cards 4 or 5 times in a row, it seems very, very low in probability. And this is where analytics works, okay? Number crunching works. As much as I do not like analytics and just looking at numbers, this is very important for the hobby. And guess what? The establishment of the hobby really isn't covering it. You have to ask yourself, okay, you saw some content earlier on saying that you want scholarly content. Well, now we're starting to get scholarly content, but people don't want to address it. The leadership of the hobby. And the reason they do not want to address it, because then it may open up a can of worms, regardless of whether there's hanky-panky or not. So what I would say for analytics, in few exceptions like this is where it helps out. Looking at comps, well, sure, fine. At times, it does help out. Some people have tried to use technical analysis. I've gotten on people, I think Zach Horner, he came on, he was talking about how he believes he could potentially use analytics, accumulation, and distribution. Okay, that could work, but for the vast majority of times, I'm not a fan of it. Here it works out. And to determine fraud, hanky-panky, this is where it's needed. This is where the mathematicians, the statisticians need to come out and just discuss this. And that's the only way, in my opinion, to put pressure on the leadership or the hobby establishment of getting down to this. So just wanted to leave some thoughts about analytics. I do also believe that one metric is very important in me determining when to buy versus sell. Just trying to figure out trends is just looking at the 10-year Treasury inflation protected securities, aka 10-year tips. So once again, just want to say for the vast majority of analytics, I'm not a huge fan of it, but in situations like this, it is to determine trends. And as years come by, I do believe that we could probably figure out trends of seasonality. I know Pancake Analytics is putting up data regarding that. That's a good thing. So yeah, this is one of the few times where I will say I like analytics in this situation. I like number crunching here. And it is what it is, guys. So let me know what you think about this. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, guys. Thank you. Bye.